DMZ is going to be getting a major overhaul with the launch of Season 3, and a lot of these additions and changes that they're making are really bringing DMZ into that place that I think we all really want DMZ to kind of end up as, because as we know, DMZ is kind of in its beta stage technically right now, and it doesn't have a lot of the more fundamental features that we've seen in other extraction based games, but at least now with this update we can see that we are at least moving closer and closer to maybe, DMZ's official exit from beta and maybe official launch. Regardless though, let's not waste any more time and get right into all these major changes. To start this off, let's talk about what I think is the coolest change out of all of them, and what this is are active duty operator slots. And let's quickly read what they say about them to get an idea of how they are going to work. Every player will start with 3 active duty operator slots, which equates to them having 3 separate operators who have their own on-soldier items. These items include your backpack, plate carrier, kill streak, self-revive, and gas mask. And we also get this screenshot to really show how it's going to work. And this is absolutely a great system. Oh my gosh, how annoying was it that there was no way to save any of your kind of on-soldier items that they already mentioned there? Like, it was so annoying that if you just lost those, there was no other way to save some extra ones or anything like that. But now we actually have a way to do that. So now I imagine a lot of people are just going to be running into their games, getting their different operators all the best items so they could always just have them to run back even if they end up dying and losing all of them on one of their operators. Absolutely great feature. I'm so glad they're doing this. This is definitely something that we've seen in other extraction shooters, and I'm really glad we are seeing the system being introduced into this game because it's just going to make the game that much better. Now, one thing I will mention is that they do say that we'll all have 3 different operators, but in the image that they show us, they actually show us 4, and also in the corner we see it's a max of 4. So if I had to guess, you probably unlock the extra 4th one by doing new faction missions or something like that. And then even more than that, I don't know if you can unlock more than 4 after that, maybe by doing even more faction missions, possibly. I'm not entirely sure. Another thing I'm not sure on is, like, if one of your operators dies, does that mean he goes on a cooldown so you have to go and use a different one? It's just something else that potentially could be a thing. Overall, absolutely great system. Love that they're adding this. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad that they're doing it. But the next thing that I want to talk about is the barter system, and thank goodness this is finally a thing. But before we get into that, let's quickly read how they explain this is going to work. One of the biggest additions since the launch of DMZ is the barter system, a way to award operators who stock up on items and can reach a buy station to swap them for other valuables. In general, the trader may not always have what you want, but it will always have what you need. And then it also mentions that there's no official way to do player-to-player trading, but you can just find some other friendly operators and talk to them and drop items and trade like that. And the fact that they mention that makes it sound to me like, and even though they don't say this, but it sounds like potentially they do plan to add in officially trade between different players, like some built-in system for that. But I may be reading too much into that. But if they do add in a way to actually trade between players, that would be absolutely great. I would love that so much. But kind of returning back to the barter system itself, this is something that's been in almost every other extraction based shooters out there, just call it something different each time, like Black Market or whatever it may be in the other ones too. And I'm really glad they're adding in this barter system, but I just don't think how they're implementing it is exactly the best way. And I'm fine with it being this way, at least on launch, but eventually I would like to see they get the barter system no longer being in-game at these buy stations and actually bring it to the menus like it is in almost all the other extraction-based shooters. And to really explain why I think this is the case, I need to give you my 2 biggest reasons for why I think like having the barter system being in-game instead of the menus is a bad thing. First off, it's just going to suck if you're trying to barter with this barter place and then you get shot in the back, because it's probably going to leave you in menus for a decent amount of time. Like, you're probably going to be scrolling through this for at least like 30, maybe even 40 seconds. And then it's just going to suck if you're doing that and you get shot in the back. Like, it's not going to be a great experience. So to me right away, I just don't think it should be in game for that reason alone. But on top of that, I do think it's I just don't think it's very practical to have it in game, because think about it, you're going to have to go up to the buy station, then go through the barter and see if it has the item you want, and then if it has the item you want, you have to see the item you need to trade for it, and from there you run around the map, you try to find the item, and then you come back to the same barter spot, and then you can make that transaction. And I mean, and to me, this is just too much sitting in menus in game. Like, I just don't think that's where it should be. Where you should be going through menus is in the menu system, right? Because you can get shot in the back while you're going through these menu systems. And just imagine how much better it could be if this is in the menus. Like, you go to the menus before you get in game. You go through the barter, you see the item you want, then you see the item you need to find in order to trade for it. Then what you do, you keep that in mind. You go into DMZ, you try to find that item and extract with it, and then you go back to it in the menus, and then you make that transaction, the trade for the item you want. To me, that system is just perfect and just needs to be implemented like that. Again, not to hate too much on this, because I'm glad we are at least getting this system in one form, but personally I think eventually the barter system should be moved to the menus and not actually in game. Another feature they're adding is the Workbench, and let's quickly read through this. For a nominal cash fee, the Workbench allows operators to add attachments they have unlocked for a contraband weapon platform into a piece of contraband or remove them piece by piece. And in other words, what they're really saying here is that we are finally getting a way to customize our contraband weapons, and this is absolutely great. Just having some cash on you and then using that cash to just, actually do something useful for once in its existence, to actually add attachments to things that you want, like that is absolutely great. Love that we have a way to customize our contraband weapons for once, because there are way too many times I can think of, like, I have like this perfect gun, but it just has one attachment that's ruining everything, or I can just swap it out for another one, it'd be even better. Like, so many examples I can think of that I've played through DMC in the past, that finally we're going to have a way to actually fix these guns and actually make them the gun that we really want them to be. Now, much like the barter system, I do think eventually they should have this added into the menu side of everything, letting us extract with our cash, then using that cash to use this Workbench to swap our attachments out. But at least I'm happy for now that it's at least being implemented in at least in one way, shape, or form. The other thing they mentioned is that we are getting a new faction, and there is no mention of exclusivity to people who own the game, so I think this is going to be available to everybody regardless if you own Modern Warfare 2 or not. They also do tease new bosses coming to all of the exclusion zones, so that should be fun when we finally see them. But they do end off this all just saying that there will be a dedicated blog post for everything coming to DMZ with Season 3 closer to the launch of Season 3 itself. So whenever that happens, and if there's a lot more revealed there, I'll be back with another video informing you guys of everything that is coming with Season 3 DMZ. Regardless though, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video and you found it informative in any way, shape, or form, I would appreciate if you guys dropped a like, subscribe, bell, share, any of that great stuff. But I'm going to go. Catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be. And, laters, guys.